Feel like I should have jingle bells around my neck. It's Christmas time in the North Country. Almost the beginning of December, and the hometown cable cameras are here at Mountain Lake Public Television, Channel 57. Colin, get over here. Colin Powers,
Hi.
How are you?
Hi, I'm great.
Great
Thank
to
you.
see you. What
Thank
a
you.
festive place you have here.
We just got through shooting our holiday spectacular, which we've now done 4 years in a row. It's a chorus show. We had about 750 singers, dancers, performers of all kinds in the studio over the course of 5 days, just 5 days.
I can't even imagine what that must have been like.
The school buses were pulling up here. The kids were trooping in. We had folks from Montreal. We had interpretive dancers. We had you know, kind of rock groups. We had the gospel singers from SUNY Plattsburgh.
What a group.
It was
They're all great.
They're incredible. And you know, and all those kids just beaming, so excited to be on television. And so that's gonna be broadcast next week. We're gonna see that coming right up. And of course we run it pretty heavily from now through the holidays because everybody wants to see their grandkids, their nieces and nephews. So it's really what community television's all about, I think.
And especially now, in the day and age that we live in, we need something positive like that, don't we?
That's right. No, that's so true. You know, I think that more than ever, public television, it offers you something that's low cost. You're already getting it in your homes. You can tune it in. You get a positive thing, and you get the educational elements. You get all that stuff, and you get to see your friends and your family on TV too, which is just great.
You know, it's really neat to stop in here every now and again. I don't come over here nearly enough. But I've spent a little time over here assisting and helping people, and we've done a few television shows here over the years. You've been here, what, a couple of years now?
I've been here about 2.5. No, about 2 or so. So I'm a newcomer to the North Country, and I've seen a lot of change even in that much time.
Now, where did you come from?
I started in Philadelphia. So yeah, I learned the television arts in Los Angeles. Met my wife there, and as quickly as we could, we fled.
I can understand that.
And so we ran a production company in Philadelphia for a number of years. Still operated here. My wife is cutting a feature documentary right now, which is a
no kidding.
Yeah. We got a whole nother story there, but here,
good stories. I like that stuff.
Yeah. So we're both steeped in television and film. And but we had this opportunity here to come to a station unlike most other PBS stations, in my mind. It's not big, as most people know. We're about 30 people. But more importantly to me, it's not a bureaucracy. There is very little hierarchy. Now, if you'd come into that holiday show the other day, you would have seen everybody's pitching in. Everybody from Alice Recor, our CEO and president, right on down to the you know, newest member of the staff. We're all in there full time, the entire 5 days till 9, 10 o'clock at night, making it happen. And we don't stand on a lot of you know, pomp and circumstance here. It's all about getting the job done, getting local shows made, not just passing through Sesame Street and the Lehrer News Hour and Frontline, all those great national shows that people know. That's part of the PBS thing, but it's only a small part. To us, what being Mountain Lake PBS is about is serving Clinton, Franklin, and Essex counties, which is Wcfe. A lot of people don't remember. Our old call letters, CFE, stands for Clinton, Franklin, Essex counties. That's what we were chartered to do. Now, we reach most of Quebec via Videotron cable, all the way up to the Gaspé Peninsula.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we get all the way to the Atlantic. Okay, our signal reaches there. We also reach a lot of Vermont. And so over the years, we've incorporated those audiences as ours. We treat those audiences, even though we're chartered here, Clinton, Franklin, Essex, we really have to recognize that our audience is Vermont and it's Quebec, and it's a real 3-region audience. We serve the Adirondacks, we serve the Tri-Lakes, we serve down as far as the south end of our lake here, out to Malone, but we also have huge numbers of viewers in Montreal. They adore Mountain Lake PBS. I'm always surprised how much they recognize us.
I just came from an annual business forum, and that Canadian connection is important in so many ways, isn't it?
It is. It's vital. You know, the North Country. We're New York State is Quebec's biggest trading partner, And as everybody around here knows, we've got a lot of the success of the park has been Canadian firms interested in coming down. We have all this transborder business and commerce. And in the case of Mountain Lake PBS, we have more than half of our members are from up there.
That's
so
amazing.
They support us. You know, they support us and appreciate our programming. They come back time and time again. And so we feel strongly also not we work with them. We cover Quebec and Montreal stories because we think, as so many families, as you know, up here have real strong connections back and forth.
Oh, yes.
You got uncles, aunts, nephews. You know, when it comes to the holidays, people are going back and forth all the time.
All the time. Now,
right.
What is your official title here?
The Director of Production and Programming.
All right.
I got two departments.
I'm always curious as to what about this area or this particular business attracted you to the North Country. Have you been here before?
I'd been here once. My sister got married in Willsboro.
Well,
and
that's North Country.
That's right. She got married into a family that moved up here. Her husband grew up in Elizabethtown. And so I'd been here once, blown away. I'd never seen Lake Champlain before.
Oh, boy.
I'd seen Lake Tahoe. I'd seen western places, Crater Lake, but I'll tell you, this place just blew me away. And so when I learned that there was an opening up here, and I came and visited, the thing that really got me about the presentation here was Alice, our CEO, had made this commitment to local production. She staked this station's future on doing roadside adventures with Derek Meerden, as you know, all the cooking shows we've been seeing all these years.
He's everywhere. He's like Chicken Little. He's everywhere.
That's true. Then we have Adirondack Outdoors, the great outdoors show that's been on for years now. Art Express, where Paul Larson's been traveling to all three of these regions every week for years again. And Mountain Lake Journal, our public affairs show, a big commitment there. In addition, we've been doing documentaries on this area. We're bringing the Adirondack story to regional and national audiences. And that, to me, I was coming to a place that had a can-do attitude, it wasn't mired in bureaucracy, and it was committed to these local shows. And that's a really unique thing in the PBS world.
And apparently your wife agreed.
She did. She encouraged it. She said she didn't know exactly how many hours it would be or how much of my brain would be sucked up by PBS. She has a
giant vacuum cleaner, right?
That's what she said. She said it was
sucking
like
sound.
That was it. She called it like lint in a vacuum cleaner. She said she saw her husband disappear.
Oh yeah.
So, but
it's easy to do when you have a passion, though, isn't it?
Well, it is, and you know, I was reflecting on the fact that. The television industry is really one of the most capital-intensive industries in America. When you think, anyone who's seen a feature film roll into town somewhere with the big lighting trucks and the RVs and the motorhomes and the whole thing, and you see them shoot a 30-second scene over and over and over and over again, you wonder, you know, well, how do they spend $30, $40, $50 million on a film? Well, anybody who's seen that knows. But even television production, basic local or regional television productions are very capital intensive, very expensive, high investment in equipment, crew talent, and all the behind the scenes personnel and things it takes to get that thing out on the air. Despite all the changes in digital technology and lighter, cheaper cameras, all that stuff, the reality is it's very capital intensive. And I joke that the person who thought of putting nonprofit before television production was out of their mind back in the 60s.
I think we know how that works, don't we, Calvin? Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, so, you know, we struggle to do the shows. We struggle to do them on the budgets we have. But what I saw also is that as an independent producer coming here, that I had a very much DIY, do-it-yourself mentality. I'm as capable of picking up a camera and shooting the thing and sitting down and editing it as the next guy, and I saw that here. We weren't going to say, okay, this person is just the editor, this person is just the graphics person, this person is, you know, rigidly in this box. We're all going to jump in and do it, and that was very, very appealing to me.
So in the course of a day, you do a lot of production yourself?
As director of production, what I'm mostly doing is sitting down with folks as they get to near their final edit of the show, and offer what in the industry are called notes, which are comments.
Oh yes,
notes can
that
be
all-encompassing notes.
That's right, exactly. They can be tough, or they can be easy. I have to say that again, the collaborative nature of our organization is such that. I'm rarely I don't have to come in and be real heavy-handed. I mean, we really work together great as a team. And so I'll offer notes. I sometimes am involved heavily in the initiation of the project. I wrote the treatment for our documentary on Samuel de Champlain. So I spent about 2.5 weeks researching and writing that.
It's almost 2009, isn't it?
We are almost there at the quadricentennial. So in celebration of that that battle, that famous battle in 1609, Mountain Lake PBS is producing a 1-hour documentary on Champlain's time in North America. We're using animation, which is really exciting. We're going to break new ground in doing a historical documentary with very tasteful, not cartoony style animation. We're going to an animation house in Montreal, and we've worked very hard with them to create a very sophisticated look.
Now, that's exciting for me. Have you had experience in that realm?
No, we're cutting.
Wow,
we're cutting into new stuff.
Ooh.
And we have the producer and myself have worked at great length to review both all the historical work that's been done on Champlain in film. Interestingly, he's been done in animation a lot, but we've also looked at the cutting edge of animation, and what we're going to be doing is working with the latest state-of-the-art in 3D animation, but we're then treating that almost to look 2D, almost to look old-fashioned, and so we're really going to.
Nothing wrong with that. I think that's
people.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, and the key for us is we don't want it to lose any of its seriousness because it's animated. We're animating because we're going back to 1608. Anytime you get actors and recreations and people out in the woods doing stuff, in today's world, there's a certain amount of suspending your disbelief you got to do. You know, the Indians look kind of chubby, and this is the reality of it's not just Indians; it's all of us.
Of course.
Today, we're not as lean as we would have been in 16.
You may be, but Calvin and I have to hold down the fort, as my wife says.
The truth is that body types have changed dramatically.
Yeah.
Champlain himself was probably not a very tall man. But an actor who we would probably hire if we were using one.
They had a pointy hat.
That carried a buffalo.
Yeah.
So we also have a documentary underway on the French and Indian Wars. And again, this is keeping that theme of we're taking the regional histories and we're taking them out to a national audience.
And there is so much regional history here.
It's a treasure trove.
You probably had no clue until you moved here.
No, there's so many. I have a list in my office of so many stories to do. It's a lifetime.
Ends.
It's a lifetime of stories.
It's nice to have that kind of material at your fingertips.
It's incredible.
Isn't it?
It's incredible, and other stations don't necessarily. Now, Derek Mearden's the one who's known this for years. He's been doing these stories. He's had 15 years ahead of me on all these stories.
I keep telling him he needs to take a break. He hasn't had his feet up on a stool in 30 years.
Well, he's nearing retirement age, but we've wrangled to keep him.
I know. Well, I know. So, we do stay in touch.
Yeah.
But it is a fantastic area. It's something we've promoted here on Hometown Cable. This is one of the great things that Mountain Lake Public Television is committed to. Mm-hmm. This area and this region.
That's absolutely
we
right.
celebrate it here, and sometimes we forget that we'd like to expose the rest of the world to this quality of life.
That's right.
That nebulous phrase that actually kept the air base here for a while.
Yep.
Until 1995. But it is a pretty special place.
It's a remarkable place.
And you've only been here a couple of years.
Yeah, I'm just getting my feet wet.
But you don't need the hip boots yet, but you are discovering more, I bet you, every day about this
it's absolutely true. And the story submissions come in all the time. And I keep a big, vast list of what what's out there and what's to do, and they often come faster than I can I can handle them.
Yeah,
So.
this is a nice facility. Somebody has done a very tasteful job in decorating
Thank
for
you, yeah.
Christmas time.
We've got our Adirondack theme, and then we've got the Christmas decorations. So that was in part brought on by the Holiday Spectacular, but we like to keep it in good condition. Now, just behind you over here is actually a segment of our tower, which collapsed about 2 years ago.
That's not. Were you here just on the cusp of that terrible occasion?
I arrived just in time for that to happen, and
my,
so we've got a little model of what the tower looked like originally, and then an actual segment of the transmission cable that actually went up the tower and is sheared off there. That was a great experience for me because we saw all the regional broadcasters come together.
Isn't that amazing? Something you don't always find in other locales.
Absolutely incredible. WCAX, VPT, PTZ, the cable companies, everybody helped out to help us get.
Cable company lost its own tower at one point downtown. You know,
Right.
this is where we live.
Right.
We have to put towers on mountaintops around here.
Oh, it was a great experience, and we have a better tower than ever. We have the digital signal reaching out now in parallel with the analog signal. And of course, that analog signal is going to go off the air on February 19th.
Could it be possible that anybody viewing this program, wherever they are, isn't aware of that massive change this company?
Well, I think that most people know, but not everybody knows how to respond, and that's the tough thing. Because I know there's a lot of folks, particularly those on fixed incomes or who are perhaps a little elderly, who have to figure out how to deal with it. Because unfortunately, there's not a sort of one stop solution for everybody. The signals are going to change. The DTV signals may not all reach everybody's houses, and getting a box and plugging it in may or may not be the only answer. They may have to change their antenna and that sort of thing.
We've heard it all chapter and verse, and there'll be more that's unfolding as time goes on, and how well will the box work with rabbit ears, and do I have to get a new antenna on the roof?
Right.
Et cetera, et cetera.
And it's sort of trial and error. It's really going to be trial and error almost for every individual viewer. It may be that they can get everything they need with rabbit ears, and that's where they should start. You know, spend as little money as you have to get what you need, but you may end up going to the roof. So on December 16th, we're actually going to, in conjunction with all those stations I mentioned a minute ago, all the local stations are going to go off the air on analog for 2 minutes. So if you're still getting your signal by rabbit ears, you're going to see gray static and then a message that says, if you're not seeing a clear picture right now, you need to do something before February 19th. And we're going to repeat that test 2 more times before the transition. And in addition, we'll have numbers on the screen for people to call if they have questions about pulling that off.
And how often does something like this happen in our world, where the government has to get involved, and we have to have little coupons that we get in the mail that get so much money off when we go to our store, and then we can't buy the box in the store because they've been sold out since last August, and it's been very interesting.
I pray we just do it once, because I think it's a big challenge, and the broadcaster is taking it very, very seriously. And we're afraid that there are going to be a certain number of people who simply aren't going to see us anymore, who do see us now, and that's just a shame. I hate to think of that.
But ultimately, it'll make a good product even better.
Well, absolutely, that is true. And we're hoping that some of the things they're announcing now are going to allow us to actually establish the equivalent of repeaters in some of those areas that we haven't been able to get into previously. There's a new technology called DTS that I'm not entirely clear on. It's just another thing being rolled out kind of late in the game. But we might be able to reach some of those pockets, for instance, in the Adirondacks.
It's very interesting, and public radio has managed to survive with repeaters all over the place, haven't they?
Absolutely. And of course, in the past, translators of the sort that we use, and we do have several, are very expensive and large scale. And what this DTS technology offers is something on a more modest scale that won't be quite as capital intensive. We hope. So we're looking at that as a long-term possibility. I don't want to get too many people's hopes up too soon, because there's always capital involved, and we'd have to raise those to do it. But we're hopeful that in the long run, everybody who gets us for free right now will continue to get us for free.
Well, I hope this program will serve as a window of discovery for people who don't know much about Mountain Lake Public Television except what they see on the screen.
Well, sure.
And as you pointed out so eloquently in the beginning of this program, there is so much more than the program they're looking at right now.
That's very true. That's very true.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
lots of dedicated people.
It's true, and you know, we've managed to do a lot with a little. We've been able to go after federal and occasionally state grants to for instance upgrade our equipment when we can. So we're not strictly turning back to the viewers, and we do rely on members for about 40% of the station's overall. Viewers and local support, that is underwriting support, supports about 40% of our budget. But we also go to those grant sources when we have major capital outlays like the digital conversion. And we can go into the master control room and I can have them show you guys what some of that digital conversion.
We're very good at asking questions and letting our camera see whatever it can see. And you know, what amazes me about public radio and public television is the fact that people seem to be very tolerant during fundraising, and when you can make it exciting, you bring neighbors in to man the phones.
That's
when
important.
when you have very eloquent people with the microphones around their necks, you make it exciting for people, and the bottom line is to make the viewer think that this is there.
That's right.
They have an ownership. That's
right. That's absolutely right. And it's important to pick programming when we do go to those special pledge programs that are unique, that are special, but that are still really screen PBS. They're not shows you're going to get somewhere else. And there's a certain number of people who actually prefer pledge programs to some of our regular scheduled stuff. You know, I think one of the really remarkable things in a time when media has become more and more fragmented, if you're interested in some little discipline, whether it's bow hunting, you're going to go to that magazine rack. You're going to find your magazine for that. You're going to find your channel for that now. You know,
isn't that incredible?
It is. And PBS.
That's what the world is all about now. Yeah.
But PBS is very unique in that we have a huge demographic interest. We have the kids in the daytime with all the kids programming, all this educational programming we do. We have adult programs like Frontline and the NewsHour and BBC News. We have all kinds of public affairs shows. We have how-to shows that are adult-oriented, and we have dramas like the Masterpiece and Masterpiece Contemporary now. So you've got this very, very widespread. So PBS is really doing something that's kind of old-fashioned in that respect. Once upon a time, there were 3 commercial networks and 1 public, and they all tried to do it. And nowadays, you've got hundreds and hundreds of channels, each trying to cater to a little slice of the market. But we're committed to being broad and to continuing that long-standing tradition. And people will chip away at it, but I don't think they'll ever replace it.
No, you'll still have your nice-sized piece of the pie. We can't wait to look around and talk to people. Let's do it.
Let's go into the master control room.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we're in the control room with Matt Curry. How are you?
Hey, Gordy. How you doing?
I felt right at home because right inside the front door when we came in, there's a big sign that says technical difficulties.
Oh, that sign. Well,
Did you make that one, Matt?
Yeah, I got my crayons together one day. We don't use it very much. We have our act together pretty well now. But a while ago, that was a very necessary piece of equipment sometimes.
So we're in here, right here. This is the nerve center, huh?
This is the center hub of the room without, of the whole building actually. Without this building or this particular room, there would be no cause for a station.
Yep. All right. You want me on this side, close to you? All right, Matt, explain what happens in here.
Well, first off, let me explain that we have, what you see here is our brand new digital TV setup.
Oh yeah, we need to know the boy. Talk about Star Wars. This is it. Look at this stuff.
Well, it's very cool. We're on a completely automated system right now, which means before June, I would constantly have to be sitting at this console right here, pushing buttons. But over time, you'll see everything kind of light up and move on its own. It's like a ghost is actually controlling everything.
I love it.
And we do that through playlists right now, just like you would have on your iPod. We have playlists for our programming that handle different channels all at once. going to the DTV setup February 17th, when we make that switch, it would be almost impossible for me to switch for 3 channels at once, but with our new playlists and our new automation system, that makes all that possible. And I'll point to them. You can see 2 right here. We have our analog and our SD2. So if you have DirecTV at home or Charter Cable
Or Time Warner.
or Time Warner,
yeah.
you would be covering, they would take a version of our SD2 and that's what they would be putting out. Our analog we put out ourselves through our antenna, and our HD system is available too, and we're controlling that. Right now we're taking a live stream from a national feed and we're streaming that out to our viewers, but very shortly, within the month, we're going to start plugging in our own local programming. So we look forward to that. Over here we have all our records, all our programming that we record. That's also automated too, and that's on its very own playlist. And the way that works is, I'm sure you saw the satellite in the back. Big, can't miss it.
Huge.
Huge. We're recording several channels at once. It comes down here as a show, every little line. You see that pink bar there? That's a show coming down. I get that, I edit it, it stays in our server, and I just chop the ends, it goes back into the server, and it's there, it's on the ready for when we need it. 32 terabytes of space. I'll show you the server in a little bit, but
this is all beyond what it's difficult for me to believe. All this stuff has been installed here within the last how long?
I would say, well, I started in June of 2007 and just finishing up the main work of building everything. Then they had to teach us how to use it. So
oh boy.
I've been spending 18 months training on this equipment, and that doesn't include the time they got it in to set up, make sure everything could work. It's a very, very complex machine, and we're learning stuff. Every day we learn something new. You can believe that. But yeah, it's very impressive. Very, very impressive. If you look up on the monitors here, what our job is, one of our jobs here in Master Control, is to constantly be monitoring what we're putting out, making sure it's the best quality it can be, making sure the audio levels are right, that the color levels, the video looks right, and just making sure there's no flukes or anything like that, no digital hits, and making sure our signal strength is where it should be. And with our tower where it is on Lion Mountain, especially coming up into winter, we have all kinds of problems. You'd be amazed.
Oh yes, no, I wouldn't be amazed. I know what it's like on top of Lion Mountain, and Terry Mountain, and all the other mountains around here.
And once the snow got so bad, and the ice actually brought our tower down.
Yeah.
And boy, that was some trouble.
Hey, were you working here at the time?
No, I was here when they're still trying to clean everything up. That was a major inconvenience, to put it mildly.
Yeah, that's an understatement. But it's much better now, and everything seems to be in good order for that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So this is where you work every day, Matt?
Every day, 40 hours a week. We're right in here. We're plugging away, making sure everything comes out on there nice and smooth. Smooth as chunky peanut butter.
So what else in here?
Okay, right here is our older setup, and this is actually half of what it used to be. It was constructed, it's our old analog setup. We didn't have to worry about as many channels as we're worrying about now. So we had this, and you can kind of, if you pan slowly from this over to that, that's much sleeker over there, the digital TV setup. And slowly we're taking this apart piece by piece. We have old 3/4 inch tape machines. We have Betamaxes.
Almost antique by now, huh?
Almost antique. They're going to be in the museum when we're
I would
shortly.
imagine, yeah.
But yeah, we even have old hard patch walls over here. Actually, we still do use those. Those are very necessary. But all going out, and we made. I'm not saying we're making. We already made the full transition, and I think we're completely ready for DirecTV.
Matt, did you go to school here?
I went to school at SUNY Oneonta, and currently I'm going to school in Clinton.
Studying communications?
I have a degree in mass communications. Yeah.
And
Clinton
you're
Community.
not originally from here, right?
I'm originally from Peru.
Oh, you
I'm
are?
a local.
Oh,
yeah.
well, of course. So you decided to come back home and...
I came back home. I love the area. I got a job right off the bat after school, so yeah, I decided to stay in this area, trying to slow down brain drain, I guess.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know how your brain is really had to be pretty active learning all this new stuff constantly.
When I came in here, I had no experience in a master control room. I had experience in a television station before, but this was, yeah, it was a big shock. I came in here my first day. I'm like, boy, gee, I don't know if I can do this. But yeah, I think I took to it very well. It's extremely complicated. It's a fidgety machine. Can I show you the master control
we'd love that. We'll follow you, sure.
And this is the big expensive wall. You can hear a lot of machine noise coming off it right now. If you get close enough, you can feel a lot of heat. It throws a lot of heat. All our programming is being kept actually right in here. We have 32 hard drives, a terabyte of hard drive, keeping our on-demand programming. That what on-demand means is just like at home with on-demand viewing. If you have that available to you, you call up the program and it's there instantly. And that's how we get our programs from here onto our playlist and out to the air to the viewers. Now we have an archive section too. It's a nearline system of many more hard drives and many more terabytes. I'm not sure exactly how many. That's how many that is. And we store everything that it's like on back order. When we need it, we have to know ahead of time because it takes several hours to get several things off of our archive section. But it holds a massive amount of space, and we're constantly keeping that updated and putting programs from our online into our nearline. So it's something we're using. Another cool feature is we're connected to the other New York station through a fiber optic cable, and they pump out a feed called Think Right. It gets streamlined to us. It's a learning for all ages network. It's a very excellent programming. And the way that works is, since it's being fed to us through the fiber optic feed, we also can talk to another station and say, hey, I need a program. Can you help us out? They can shoot it to us. Before, we'd have to FedEx everything to each other overnight. But now we can compress the program. Say we have an hour-long program we need, and we need it in 45 minutes. You would think that would be a pickle. We couldn't get out of that. But now we can compress it, shoot it through the pipe, and expand it. So an hour-long program would really only take maybe 15 minutes to get it here and get it ready and have it fit for air. It's pretty amazing.
It boggles the mind is what it does, doesn't it? The technology is amazing.
Absolutely, and it's just going to get better. Our engineers do just an awesome job of keeping up. And you look on the screen right now, we have a program being fed to us, almost ready, and it's yeah, like you said, it's amazing. You come down this way a little bit, you see remnants of the older system that it's just so basic and so necessary. We don't want to get rid of an old hard patch system. Plug in one input, goes to another output. Can't get any easier than that. And with all this equipment, all the digital equipment, sometimes something can go wrong and take a little longer to troubleshoot. A lot of the times it's easier to work with. I've worked with the analog, and now this compared to analog, this is a dream to work with.
Oh, is it really?
It really is.
No kidding.
But it's always nice to have a safety net, and that's why you'll see older technology still stays around, still works, stays strong.
Some of this equipment will go though. Some of the older equipment will be gone, right?
Older equipment, yeah, we will. I guess we'll try to auction off on eBay. I don't know. I don't know who. The thing is, it works so well. Can you really? It's tough to part with it. And I don't want to sound sentimental, but you kind of form a sentimental attachment with.
You're so young. I don't know how sentimental you can be.
Well, yeah.
But look at this.
Things
stuff.
like this.
Yeah, look at it.
This is an old 1-inch reel. I mean, you can see how much we use it. We keep the vacuum cleaner almost standing next to it. But I was just using this today. It's a 25-year-old machine. Runs. The tapes are from the early '90s, but it still works. Still works perfect.
Imagine something as old as the early '90s, Calvin. Yeah,
well,
isn't that great? But Ampex says
to my frame of reference.
what a stalwart name in the audio and the video business since the very beginning of tape recordings. Ampex, big name since the early 50s.
Yeah,
Wow.
and built to last.
Yeah.
Can't beat it. Another thing about going, actually, you know what? It gets a little cramped in here.
That's all right.
Let's back up this way a little
Okay,
bit.
I want to see everything.
Oh, absolutely. Another big problem we encounter here in Master Control is heat. A digital wall kicks off a massive amount of heat, and we have air conditioners constantly blasting. It's actually a lot warmer in here than it is normally. We have the guys from Hogan's Refrigeration in here working on something
I saw
today.
some new units out on the sidewalk.
That has to do with us.
I thought it might have something to do with inside.
But once this stuff gets hot enough, you really do see it affects the equipment. We always have to be on top of that, and it's a big enemy is the heat. Want to see the old archive room?
Oh yes, oh
It's the
yes, oh
last
yes,
stop
oh
of the
yes.
tour.
I'm ready. Let's go. Look at this stuff. Wow-wee.
Like I said,
Look at this.
old technology sometimes works the best, and it's always good to have a safety net. Well, we keep all our programs on tape, and you'll see close to 4,000 of these are D9, very trusty, indestructible, carry, well, not indestructible, but close enough, as good enough for what we're using it for. And we always keep something on backup. And you'll see older formats like the 1-inch, like I mentioned before. And we keep this library updated every day. We know right where everything is. And yeah, if we really do, if we're in a problem where we need a tape, we have it on the ready, always.
Is a lot of this stuff already backed up on the newer equipment?
A lot of it is we're constantly putting stuff in, but like I said, anything could happen in that server. Someone could spill a Mountain Dew on it. You never know. But
Gee, I've never spilled anything except for 2,000 cups of coffee over the years.
yeah, you never know. Anything
Yeah.
could affect it, and we always do have at least one extra backup of something somewhere, and it gives us peace of mind for our programming.
That's great. And everything's numbered.
Everything is numbered, and we have it entered into our database so we can pull it up right when we need to.
How are you, young man?
Hi, how you doing?
Sneak through right there, no problem at all. This is great.
I guess that's going to conclude everything I have to show you.
So how many
right now.
people work in here in the main control room besides you at any given time?
We have a staff of 5 people, myself, 3 other board ops, and 1 manager overseeing everything that's going on right now. We come in, we're the first guys in the room, I would say about 5 o'clock, and we go home. I go home at about 3:30. The other guy, he comes in about 2:30. He leaves maybe 1 in the morning or so. So there is 4 hours where there is someone not in here. We are broadcasting during those 4 hours, as you can just flip. If you're up that late, you can flip over and you can see us. But yeah, we work very regular hours. A lot of training goes into being a board op. Absolutely.
Well, I tell you, your head doesn't look much bigger than mine. I see you got a lot of stuff packed in there in the last few years.
It's amazing what your head
Yeah.
can hold, huh?
And we're turning a big corner with this digital thing, aren't we?
I think it's an exciting time to be in the television industry. Absolutely. Yeah, technology-wise, it really is amazing how this has evolved, and I hope every station has it down as well as we have. I'm very optimistic on how this
is a pretty special place, and it looks like people have a handle on everything. And I think they're pretty lucky to have a bright guy like you working in here, Matt.
Oh,
Great to see you, my friend.
it's great to meet you.
Maybe we'll come back and say hello once you get underway, huh?
Oh, I'd love that. Come on through anytime.
Thanks again, Matt.
Yep.
We're way behind the scenes now. Way behind the scenes in the back room of Jane Owens. How are you?
Very good. How are you today?
I'm just absolutely terrific. Wait a minute, we need a little Christmas tree and a few lights, and we need some stuff in here. You can just barge in, Colin, anytime you want to.
Maybe a big bird or
We're
something.
doing
That might be
fine.
more appropriate.
We're just picking on Jane here. The education part of it is very important, Jane. That's why we stopped at your little cubicle here. Tell us about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm actually from Long Island originally,
Where?
but I've been
Where?
West Islip, Suffolk County. And I've been in the
lived
North Country a very long time now, so.
I lived in the ice slips long before you were dreamed.
Oh,
When
really?
I went to school down there. So what brought you up here?
Actually, my husband was in the Air Force here, and we
Boy,
decided
is that
to
a familiar
stay in this
story or
area.
not? No kidding.
Yeah, it was really a good decision, and we've raised our kids here, and it's been a great time.
So how did the connection with Mountain Lake begin for you?
Well, I actually went back to school to get a master's in literacy, and they
Good
were
for you.
looking for somebody to run their outreach program and their education program, and it sounded like a really interesting job, so I came on board.
You got your master's here?
Yes, at SUNY.
Isn't that great? You know, we don't speak nearly enough about these good institutions that we have here.
Certainly
Came
true.
from a business forum today, and they were applauding Clinton Community College and all the new technical courses that they've started there to create a workforce in this wild
And some of their
age.
online services have
Absolutely.
really come a long way. So that's
So
been
you've
a
been
good
here
thing.
how long, Jane?
We've been here about 30 years now. So.
But you haven't worked here.
Oh no, I've only been here about 2 years now. So.
Quite a few people have been here 1, 2, 3 years.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting organization. It looks far different from the inside than it does from the outside, doesn't it?
Very dynamic. We're doing a lot of really interesting and creative things right now. So it's really pretty exciting.
Well, when I said the educational piece is important, I wasn't kidding. It really is, and you can really get your feet into this, can't you?
Well, because the education piece really distinguishes public television from commercial television. So that's one of the key things that we do that makes us very different. So you really can sink your teeth into it and connect with the community and with families and lifelong learners, really. So it's a pretty exciting piece of the public television world.
Talk a little bit more about it. What do you do in the course of a day?
Well, one of the big things that we do is around our programming, we do workshops for families on literacy and on reading. So we do about 40 workshops a year in schools and community organizations. We distribute, maybe about 1,500 free books, and we do a lot of we partner with, libraries and schools and museums.
I saw the shelves of books as I was walking back here, and I said, now what are these for? How does that work?
Well, I'll go into the community and we'll talk about different strategies that parents can use with their kids. We talk about our programming, which is aligned to National Reading Panel goals, and then we do a lot of fun alphabet activities and different things for kids, and then we give everybody a free book to kind of practice the skills and take home a little piece of, public television. A lot of times the books might be based on our programming, like Curious George or Clifford or some of those fun things. So.
When you got your master's degree, was that with an eye toward teaching?
I think probably a combination, but I do a lot of teaching in this capacity, so it really works from a lot of levels. And, I deal with a lot of different types of media, and in the 21st century, children are really going to have to be literate not only in print, but in many different forms of media. So this really works from an education point of view.
Well, getting kids excited and passionate about reading in the first place, it seems like a foregone conclusion, but sometimes parents forget that.
I think it's just sort of reminding them about simple things that you can do, even in the supermarket, or reading cans, or reading signs on the road and those kind of things, and also connecting with different activities that you can do while you're watching TV, even, retelling a story that you see, or some of our newer shows like Word World, they actually have done research, and in 6 weeks kids can identify words as opposed to
I don't know about
kids.
Word World.
Tell me
about it.
It's one of our new shows.
That may be above my viewing.
There's many actually now. Martha Speaks and Word Whirl and Super Y. Martha Speaks is a very fun one. It's about a dog who swallows alphabet soup and the letters go to his brain, and then he's speaking and reading and communicating, which is you know, kind of a very motivating thing, and kids really get excited about it. So it's really a fun thing.
So when you go into the schools, what do you do?
Well, sometimes I'm doing professional development. So I will meet with teachers and provide them actually with our different resources that they can use in curriculum. We offer a free service to schools that they get video to put into their curriculum, so they can reach their more visual learners. So that with the 7 upstate public television stations, we offer this service. So it's so I do that in the schools. Sometimes I read to kids. Sometimes do some
Doesn't
fun
it please
art
you to
activities.
do that? I mean,
It certainly does.
I don't know if it's vanity or what it is, but that pleases me to work with little kids one-on-one, to get them to sit on the floor and ask questions.
Yeah, I really think it's a blast, and you know what could be bad about that job? It's just wonderful. It's fun and exciting, and getting them interested in learning, you know, really the magical part of it is really the fun part.
So you actually get out of that chair quite often.
Quite often. I'll be at the Champlain Valley Transportation Museum on
yeah.
Friday.
They're good friends. We're due back there again, too.
Yeah, they're actually...
We've got another Lozier now, I see.
They do, and they have a lot of different things that we connect our programming with their historic themes and vocabulary. So it's really worked out well, and it's very exciting for the community to have that resource there. So I'm promoting them and doing some education work there. So
we're recording this early in December 2008. This program will be aired off and on for quite a long time. What do you look forward to? Does anything in this new digital age that's coming affect your job?
Oh, definitely. I serve on a national board for the for media literacy education, so that students can really learn all about media and what its purpose is and what its message is. So I think as this field continues to expand with you know, children creating their own video and using it to you know, make their messages, this is just going to become more and more interesting and more a teaching opportunity in the future.
It's amazing when you start to expand the horizons for these little ones. It's incredible. My wife and I have 23 great-grandchildren.
Oh, my heavens.
And when I watch the little ones, the facility they have on the computer...
It's amazing.
And
things like gaming that they can learn with that you would have sometimes thought, well, this is like an extra or whatever, but there are many things that they can use that are, you know, very viable and very useful in education. So
I think you found a home here.
I definitely think so. It's a wonderful place to work, and promoting the values of public television is really exciting for me, and I've enjoyed it immensely.
So do you think all the schools in the area are familiar with what you do?
I think many of them are, because I work with the Teacher Resource Center, and so there are representatives from all the schools there, and I'm in the schools and in the community quite a bit. So
well, there's a lot to take advantage of, and this educational piece is so important. I'm so glad we stopped by your little cubicle back here to talk with you.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that you stopped by also, and it was good to see you again.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Take care.
I'm glad we followed Colin around, because we've been through more back rooms and hallways and open ceilings. And
I can imagine.
Alice Recor, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
We decided to go to the top before we go anywhere else. You're CEO here.
Yes, I am.
And you've been here for at least
11 years.
Can it be?
Yes. Yes.
Can it be? I was just leaving the radio business when you came here, I think.
Really?
1997.
Yes, July of 1997.
But why Mountain Lake? What did you do before?
Good question. I was actually the business manager for Hospice of the North Country for 9 years. And I went there to help start it up and thought I was going to stay
well,
there
I
for a
remember,
year.
and what a truly wonderful chapter of your life.
It was.
For those people involved. There's none better.
Yes, absolutely, and it's still an organization that is so near and dear to my heart.
I
They
just
do
get
great
flutters
things.
every time I hear about it because of the importance.
Yeah.
If anybody viewing this program doesn't know what hospice is, they should do a quick study.
They really should. They do a wonderful community service, and they do it well. They do it really well, and the people that work there and the volunteers are just phenomenal. They just are giving,
especially
giving,
at this
giving.
time of year, and we're doing this before
Yeah.
Christmas, 2008, and it's so important.
It is.
Some
It
things
really
have
is.
great importance, and some things have moderate importance.
Yeah.
But hospice is one of those good things. So
Yeah.
my tip of my Gordy Little hat and Calvin cast iron hat to you
Well, thanks.
for that, because it was just, like I said, a great chapter of your life.
It really was. It was a great learning experience, something I thought I would never, ever do, healthcare. It's a difficult field. And I think when I called my mother, who knew I was afraid of the sight of blood, not that I even saw it,
Okay, here
and
we
said
go.
to her, I'm going to take a job for hospice, she was like, why? You know, why? And I felt it was something I wanted to learn about and to help with. And it really was a good learning experience and good business experience, really.
That's great. So then what drew you over here to Mountain Lake?
Well, that's a good question. I had got, as I said earlier, I went to hospice thinking I'll stay there for a year or two, help, with whatever I can do, and then find out what I want to do with the rest of my life. And
Isn't that amazing how that works?
yeah, exactly. Best laid plans.
All these little side roads.
Yeah. So anyway, I did that, and I ended up staying, and then finally, I had a couple of friends. One very good, one of the nurses there, actually ended up being a hospice patient, and my mom had gotten ill. So it was a little bit difficult to take. We always said that there's a burnout period for nurses of about 3 years. But I was deeply involved in a lot of the patient charts and whatever, and I thought, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do it with a full heart. So I started looking, and it was actually one of the hospice nurses, Jane Sherwin,
Oh my.
who introduced me
There
to
you
her
go.
husband, Jerry Sherwin, and Jerry was the former president of the board, and he said, hey, Mountain Lake is looking for a business manager, and I said, I saw that in the paper, but I don't know anything about TV, nothing about media. And he said, you know about business, go apply. And I did, and Howard Lowe and I got talking, and we hit it off, and he really taught me a lot, along with a lot of other people here, and here I am.
There have been some massive changes over the last
there
decade,
is.
never mind the last 11 years.
Yes.
What changes do you recall as being some of the great twists and turns?
Oh gosh. Well, we had some severe financial difficulties, so that was a real challenge. That was probably the most difficult part of my career here. I had to make some serious decisions, but the board and the staff were wonderful. They were supportive. We made some changes. The industry itself has changed, as you know.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
just
And one of our main
unbelievable.
reasons for coming here today is the word digital.
Exactly. So that was the biggest challenge financially, on top of the expenses that we were having issues with, because our funding had been cut year after year after year on the state and federal level, and we really hadn't prepared ourselves for it. So once we got that straightened out, we concentrated on digital, and luckily we have had a lot of help as far as federal grants and even a state grant that helped us convert, and we could match those funds with funds from our donors, because without our donors we couldn't have, and you have to have those matches. So we made it all work, and we got all ready for digital with our tower, thought we were ahead of the game, and then that fell down.
Oh, well, yes, we've mentioned that a few times here today.
Yeah, so we won't belabor that, but it actually, I always say that every disaster probably has a silver lining, and
Every time there's a crisis,
exactly.
it enables us and sometimes forces us to rethink everything
Exactly.
And very often we come out better.
That's right.
You know, we like
We
a little.
did.
I'm old enough to have an amazing historical
Yeah.
perspective here because I've been around for a long, long time. I mentioned earlier we just came from a business forum, and that seems to be the consensus.
Yes.
You have to, it forces you to study the situation and try to come out of the other end of the horn better than you came in.
It does. It really does. And you know, it brought the staff together with the board members, and we sat down and we said, okay, we were in the midst of deciding, well, we had gotten a grant to do strategic planning. And our initial reaction was at first, well, we don't have time to do this now. We've got to take care of this tower thing. And actually, we talked about it and we said, you know what, if there was ever a time that we needed a strategic plan, it's now. So we did. We sat down and we did that, and it's really given us the direction and the focus that we needed. And I think it will make a tremendous difference in the long run.
I don't think many of our viewers who have done anything except turn the television set on to Mountain Lake Public Television understand what goes on behind the scenes, especially in the business end of it. So explain a little bit of the structure for our friends.
Sure. Well, we're, of course, governed by a board of directors, and I report to the board of directors and our staff. We have our management team here, our exec staff, and organizationally, that's who manages the station. I don't do it alone. I have a great staff of you've met Colin, you'll meet Sophie in a little bit, our education director, our business manager, well, she's actually our director of finance and administration, and our chief engineer, Charlie Zarbo, who's been here forever. And
He knows,
great
if anybody
job.
knows his way around the back rooms here, Charlie does.
Exactly. Well, anyway, we manage the station with the help of the staff, and everybody has a voice here. We really depend on the staff because it's one person for probably 2 or 3 jobs. We're a very small station, and what we do on a scale of compared to other larger stations is just phenomenal. And I know I'm a little prejudiced, but we do.
We're a lot prejudiced not only about this place, but about this entire region.
Yes.
And, you know, it's very interesting to interview somebody like Colin, who had only been to the North Country once for a wedding in Willsboro or somewhere.
Exactly.
And to have his reaction after being here for a couple of years and saying, oh my gosh, Lake Champlain, the mountains. It is a special place, but a lot of it has to do with the people here, Alice. I know you know that.
It is. And, you know, I can't say enough about the people here because that's how we've gotten to where we are. The people here have really supported Mountain Lake. And I don't just mean financially. I mean the people like the people that have helped us do our productions, you know, the Bill Owens and the Mark Berries and the Colin Reed and, you know, everybody that was there this morning at the business forum, Herb Carpenter, and then you've got all the businesses in the community who support us with underwriting. And that's how we're able to do it because operationally, I mean, the money we get from the state and federal government keeps our operation running, the technical piece of it. It doesn't give us the money for the local productions. It doesn't give us the money to do the educational initiatives that we do. I mean, we get the state money that's from state ed, but still, we do extra. We do more. We don't do just what we have to do.
Well, there is there's an image that public television and public radio create within their regions, and you've taken your you've taken what the mandate for this North Country to the extreme, I think, in Mountain Lake, and that's a good thing.
Well, I'm glad you think so, because that's the feedback that I'm getting from the community. We feel that, and this is something we really identified with when we did our strategic plan. What is our role in this community? And our role is to tell the region's stories, just like you do. I mean, you do something very similar.
My lips keep going.
Really?
Yeah, you know.
Well, it's important that people know what's going on in this community. And how will they know? I mean, we're a small community, so your commercial stations have to cover a great area. Ours is Clinton, Franklin, Essex County, and we go down as far as Warren County. We go into the Canadian Quebec province and even further north. We feel that we can bring the regions together. We can actually help people know what's going on in Canada and vice versa. People in Canada know what's going on here, and there are a lot of similarities. People don't realize, a lot of people don't.
You know, we talked about pieces of the pie before, and a guy like Gary Douglas,
oh my God,
who's my favorite cheerleader in the whole world, you know, Who would ever guess that a guy like Gary Douglas could get up before this group of very hard-nosed businessmen and women at this critical time in our nation's history and say, I'm excited.
Exactly.
And you got to get excited, and you got to get excited. But pieces of the pie, Gary understands the pieces of the pie. You
does.
have to too, and Colin has to too. But we all have a role to play, don't we?
We do. We
That's
really
what I meant about taking our responsibilities very seriously,
Yeah.
as individuals and as groups like Mountain Lake.
Exactly. And I think, we can all learn. If you stay positive and you know you can make that difference and you know that you can, what we said this morning, it's look at your business. You got to make those changes. You've got to be able to react. You've got to have a niche market, and I think Mountain Lake certainly does. And we have something going for us that is just a given. PBS is a trusted brand, and it's our job to provide that trusted brand to the community and to build on that. And it's nice to know that PBS nationally is recognizing that, the importance of the local community station.
Alice, we're glad you spent your 9 years with hospice, but we're thrilled that you came over here.
Well, thank you, Cordy. I appreciate it. And so am I. It's been a good experience.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Sometimes we just walk by places in the hall and people grab us and pull us in an office and say, it's my turn. I guess you talk to Alice. I guess you can talk to me. Who are you?
I'm Tony McCulka, and I am the Special Events and Volunteers Coordinator with Mountain Lake PBS.
No small task.
No small task indeed, especially since one of the largest events we have at the station is the Arts Auction.
Oh boy.
The Arts Auction.
Very well known for so many years.
Yes, 25 years actually. It's our 25th anniversary. So you're right, it's definitely no small task.
You haven't been doing it for 25 years.
No, I'm 25. That would be an amazing
Somebody
feat
might
if
have brought
I
you
were
in here
doing
and
it
say,
for
how
25
much for this
years.
beautiful baby? So, Tony, are you from this area?
Originally, I'm from Rockland County, which is just about a half an hour northwest.
I was born in Pearl River.
Oh, were you?
Ta-da!
Wow, what do you know?
So, see? Yes, I know.
I'm from Suffern,
Suffern
originally.
and Nanuet.
Yes.
I know all those places.
Oh, yeah, it's fantastic. And so I went to college here, and I came back when there was an opening with the PBS station, Mountain Lake. I was doing fundraising in the metropolitan area after I had graduated, and it's work that I really enjoy, fundraising and working for a good cause, especially one like public television.
So, special events.
Yes.
Wow. Mm-hmm. How did you start right off doing that here?
Yes, I did, actually. I was thrown right into the fire.
Ta-da!
Right into it.
It's amazing. We talk to people, and when they first walk in the door, they say, oh, no, I can't handle that. That's way beyond anything I could ever do. But you kind of got used to it, and you got darn good at it.
Yes, I'm a little bit of a glutton for punishment, I like a challenge. So if it's a challenging situation, you can count me in. And working on an event as massive as a special event like the auction, you have an innumerable number of pieces of artwork that come in for submissions. We have about 300 submissions now that will be juried next week. And after the jury, we will send our notifications out to all of the artists that submitted, letting them know whether or not the work has been accepted. And after which, we are charged with a whole variety of tasks to manage the artwork, from photographing it and cataloging it and making it appear professional and creating detailed descriptions for the presentations that take place during the arts auction. So I can just go on and on and on, but honestly, I'm not going to bore you.
And you'll never bore us. And Alice said they keep taking the pictures off the walls. I get used. I like those pictures, and all of a sudden they're gone.
Uh-oh.
That's great. So
Yes.
you start with how many? 300?
300 to 400 submissions come in, and then we narrow it down. So it's a juried collection, and we have jurors that come from Montreal and Vermont and our local arts community in New York.
And then how does the auction work? Is that all at one time or over a period of time? How does it work?
It's a 3-day auction,
Aha.
the last weekend in April, and that would be April 24th, 25th, and 26th for 2009. And it's an evening auction, so it goes from about 5 to 11.
And you have to be here every minute.
Oh, yes.
I knew
here.
that. I knew that.
Everyone at the station has a role during the auction.
Oh, yeah.
And,
It's a busy time.
and I am the official troubleshooter. If anything goes wrong, the fingers come in my way.
Murphy's Law.
Oh, yeah.
But that's all
You know, for some reason we have food prepared and ordered and then the restaurant burns down. Well, what are you going to do? Right
Don't-
here.
you
I'll
know,
figure
don't
it out.
laugh. That happened pretty recently. You know,
I
one of
know.
our favorite local restaurants burned down.
Which
locally.
one?
Comfort Inn.
Oh,
Perkins.
oh gosh,
Right
yes.
here in town.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
we hate fires. So anyway, did you know anything at all about art more than?
Yes, actually, I studied studio art in my
Did you
undergrad.
really?
Anthropology and studio art. Mm-hmm.
Well, how's that for a combination that brings you right to public television? Anthropology, because you meet a lot of interesting people in public television. But studio art too, no kidding.
Yep, absolutely. And actually, I did mostly ceramics. in
Is this
my
one of
studio art
yours?
concentration. No, but I'm showing you this because this is by an artist that is submitting to the arts auction. This is one of her mugs. She's
love
from
it.
Vermont.
I
Isn't
love
it
it.
beautiful?
I'm a mug
It's-
person.
Me
I love it.
too.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
isn't that beautiful? She's from Vermont.
She's from Vermont. I'll tell you her name actually.
Yes, I'd love to know that.
I have it right here, and she's submitting this teapot to us.
Oh my goodness,
It's a
take a
beautiful
look
teapot.
at this teapot, Calvin.
Valued at $230.
Here
And
we are. We got the auction underway.
you got it going. Call it now.
Yeah.
No, you have to wait. And let's get her name. What
Okay.
is the name? Her name is, she's a beautiful young woman, Loretta Languette.
Oh, what a doesn't
Loretta Languette. Isn't this
yes,
such
it
a
has a
Loretta
rhythm to
Languette?
it. Boy, that's wonderful. I
Isn't
gotta
that
take a look at
beautiful?
that. That is so nice.
Don't drop it.
No, that's really quite beautiful.
Isn't that lovely? Can't you just imagine, like, ooh, heaps of marshmallows
Oh
and
yeah, just give me a
tufts
little
of
tomato
whipped
soup.
cream. Ooh,
Yeah.
hot chocolate.
So a lot of different kinds of art, not just paintings.
All kinds. Painting,
Sculpture.
sculpture, of course. Pottery, vessels, craft work, hand-woven garments, tooled pieces, wood carvings.
Decoupage.
Yes, everything.
Told.
Multimedia.
Yeah, that's all very interesting.
Yeah, it
And
really
it
is.
is traditional now, with a quarter of a century under the belt of this wonderful arts auction.
Yep.
It does
It's
bring people
as
together.
old as me. Actually, it's older than me because
Who
it
does
takes
the
place in
auctioneering?
April. My birthday's in October.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Who does the auctioneering?
The auctioneering is by a man named Ralph Passano, and he is based out of Troy, and he's been an auctioneer with the station for some time now. His face is as identifiable with the auction as, Mountain Lake PBS is. So he's our veteran auctioneer, and he does a good job.
So when are the actual dates? Since we don't know when this program will be aired on hometown cable, but what are the actual dates of the auction? Is it right around the same time every year?
Yes, last weekend in April, every single year. April
We
24th,
got it.
25th, 26th. Last weekend in April.
So
Watch.
you're working yourself up to a fever pitch, right?
Yes. Whatever, it's great because even if you aren't interested in buying artwork at the time, which hopefully you would be, it still is an educational experience because each piece of artwork has a presentation that describes theory and method and style. So for the particular piece, and that's interesting. That's pretty cool.
We've had some folks that were famous at the time, became famous later, are still famous. A lot of very talented people involved in this, in submitting works for this auction over the years. you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Mhm.
from
Absolutely.
miles around here. Some from Canada, some from Vermont, I know, New York.
Mhm. We have Oleg Podimau, who is from Canada.
Oh, yeah.
And his work is exceptional,
Incredible.
beautiful. It does very well. Impressionist style, very thick,
Oh, yeah.
layered,
Don't you love it?
beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
And usually scenes that are just gorgeous outdoor landscapes, and you look at it and it takes you right to the location. It's as thick and dense and goopy as what's his name, really popular Van Gogh, but it's just not as well. Please don't include this in your final recording.
We were talking about, I was just talking
It's
with
great.
somebody.
It's fantastic.
Just talking to somebody about Van Gogh and his brother and his family and what a tortured life he had and how many artists are tortured people. But they express them whatever's going on in their heads.
Yes.
And things that they paint and sculpt and draw.
Beautiful. And we have Bill Crosby. This is a Bill Crosby piece right here.
Bill's a good friend, and he's another great artistic icon in the North Country, and I love his house.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't? This
No.
great old stone house. When he and his wife first walked in, there was 4 feet of snow inside their house because it had been abandoned. This great stone building from way back when in the early 19th century.
Really?
Oh yeah, good people.
Wow. Oh,
A
that
fixture
sounds
at the college
so
for a long
beautiful.
time.
Yep, he was an art professor there
Yes.
for a while.
You're the best, Tony.
Oh, no, you're the best.
Thank you so much.
You can bring your microphone and camera into my office anytime.
We love it.
Actually, it's a pretty good excuse to go places, you know.
I love it. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Have
Thank
a wonderful
you.
day.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Tony. I told you there were more offices to go into, and we're into another one. Who are you?
I'm Paul Larson, and I'm the producer of Art Express here at Mountain Lake PBS.
Paul, how are you?
I'm great. Welcome to
I'm
Mountain Lake
so
PBS.
pleased to see you. Let's talk a little bit about Art Express.
All right. Well, the show's been going on for 7 years now. And 7 years ago, I created the show as a way to give local artists and performers a venue that they wouldn't otherwise get.
But you have such sensitivity and intelligence, the way you present it. It's tremendously fascinating. Where did you get all this knowledge from?
Oh, thank you very
much. What
much.
did you do beforehand?
Well, I've been before I was on the news for 6 years doing feature reporting, but I've always had a passion and an interest for the arts. It comes from my father, who was either going to be an artist or a doctor. And, and he chose to be an artist. I mean, I'm sorry, he chose to be a doctor, but he filled our home with lots of art that I was surrounded with, and my parents always encouraged a love of the arts in me, so I've just always gravitated toward the arts.
And once you start a program like that, you're obligated to learn everything you can.
Absolutely.
And to express that knowledge.
Yes, I studied a little bit about art in school, but mostly it was on-the-job training, and I get a lot out of just talking to the artists. I learn a lot of their stories and the reasons why they paint what they paint, or they sculpt what they sculpt, or why they're dancing the way they do. So it's always a new adventure.
Do you script every program, or is a lot of it extemporaneous?
Well, what I do is I go out and interview the artists, and they give me their whole story. So it's a question and answer format, and then I take little bits of their interview and I write a script that goes along with it. So I sort of narrate the story, which is scripted, and then we go to their interview sound bites and they help tell the story. I try to let the words come from the artists themselves.
You know, it's difficult sometimes for viewers to understand how much time and effort goes into making a program. How long is the program?
It's a half hour.
Half-hour program.
Yeah.
Because what Calvin and I do is strictly not edited and completely extemporaneous. So what you see is what you get.
Right.
Program like this is pretty labor intensive, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say I spend about a month on a half-hour program. But I'm doing a lot of the work myself, by the way, which is rare in the TV industry. I come up with the story idea. I go out and do the interview after I've called the artist and said, do you want to be on the show? And then I go out and do a lot of the videography myself. I have an assistant. And then I come back, I look at the tapes myself, and then I write the script myself, and I edit the piece. That's where we are. We're in the edit suite right now. So I was just looking over a piece I edited about an artist named Bill Amadon, and then I actually host the show, and then I edit the whole show. So there's not a lot.
Stops here.
Yeah, there's not a lot that goes on with the show that I don't have my hands directly involved in, and that's kind of unusual in TV. But it takes me about a month to get an episode done.
But it's a great satisfaction when you look at the finished product and you know, hey, I did very well.
Yeah, well, I think the artists do very well too in telling their stories,
Well,
and I'm
it's a circle.
so
It's
proud
a
of them.
perfect circle.
Yeah,
So you've been doing it how long?
7 years.
And that would be how many programs?
Oh man, there's more than I'd say about 55 programs now. Yeah. See, we do 8 to 10 episodes a year, and they're running in reruns in addition to the new shows. I'm very excited about the new shows because we've now gone high definition and widescreen.
Oh yes,
and
yes, many changes coming.
yeah, you can see the texture of the painting of that canvas.
That means a lot, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, it looks like you can reach out and touch the canvas on your screen, even though in reality, if you're in a museum, you never want to touch the paintings.
Well, what do you paint yourself?
I don't. I wish I did. I consider what I do, I consider my art,
This is art.
the show.
Of course it is.
Yeah, the getting the artist to tell the story, and then the way I tell the story along with the artist, that's my art.
But you've always had a good facility at writing, too. So that
A
helps
background
you.
in journalism,
Yeah,
yes.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So it shows.
Oh.
Do you get a lot of response to the show?
I hear a lot on the streets. I get emails sometimes. My mother actually came to town.
Well, mothers are best critics of all.
Well, I was going to say it was very flattering when my mother came to town to visit me, because she's from Iowa, and she came to town, and two people in a row, two separate people in a restaurant, came up to me that night and
mothers
complimented
love
me.
stuff like that.
Yeah, they complimented me on the show, and that was very nice to happen right in front of her.
So what are your favorite? Do you have, of all those 50-some shows, do you have any particular favorites that stand out in your mind?
I had sort of a childhood fantasy come true, because there's this show that we are on PBS called Sesame Street.
Oh, yeah.
And I grew up on that show. I mean, I was raised with the show in Iowa. And there's this song at the beginning of the show. Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street?
Of course.
And I was invited to go to Sesame Street and interview some of the Muppeteers, Big Bird in particular, and one of the people I grew up watching named Maria. And it was just fun to know the answer to that question. How do you get to Sesame Street? I know exactly where it is now.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, it was very fun.
Now, do you have the sole responsibility of choosing your subjects for the show?
For the most part, yes.
They contact you?
Sometimes they contact me, but more often I will seek them out. Yeah, I like to feel inspired by the artist or the performer, and I like when I see someone's art or I see someone's performance, I like to think, oh wow, I could make that into a very good television story. Because it's not just about great art, it's about a great television story that we're telling. I like to have drama, conflict, sometimes making the audience cry. I really like the storytelling element of the show, and not every artist has that.
It's interesting, isn't it? Sometimes they can express themselves that way and very few other ways, but some people are all around. Is it only, what kinds of art do you feature?
Well, we feature painting and sculpture and dance and theater and film and photography.
Ta-da. So you pick the music too?
Yes. I love the music in the show. It's often,
I do too.
It's often classical music, or it's music that I try to keep appropriate with the particular artist. We have a music library at Mountain Lake PBS, music that we have the rights to run on the show, and that's what I choose from. Luckily, there's a lot of classical in there.
So you're in the middle of a project here.
Well, I'm reviewing a show that I recently put on the air with a local artist named Bill Amadon from Essex, New York. And I just love his work. I mean, isn't this fantastic?
Oh my goodness, isn't that great?
This mountainscape. And Bill is very much inspired by the Adirondacks. This is where he's grown up his whole life, and that's what he paints. And he really portrays them very vividly.
And by the
I can
time
just let this run.
Yeah, sure. And by the time you finish a show, with all that time editing, recording, writing, you get to know your subject matter pretty well.
I know them very well. A lot of them have become personal friends of mine, and they'll call me up and they'll chit chat, and we're like old friends after I spend the day with them, because it takes a whole day of shooting with these artists to get them to tell me their whole story, to get them to take me around to the different places that have inspired them. So it's a very interesting process for me and the artist.
So what are the possibilities of networking this with National Public Television?
Many people have asked me that question, and
let me ask you that question again.
Well, we're working on it.
That good.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Someone actually came up to me once and said when he first saw Art Express, he thought it was a nationally produced show. So that was a very high compliment.
That's a high compliment.
Yeah.
It is. So what you're saying, at the end of the day, you go home pretty satisfied.
I love it. I'm doing what I love.
Yeah.
And
Who could
I
ask
think you're
for anything more?
I think you're doing what you love too.
Who could ask for anything more in life?
Yeah.
And so you probably spend more than 3 hours a day at it.
Oh yeah, I spend 8 hours a day at least, probably more than 8 hours. Often I'm here after 5 o'clock. So.
And it's in your brain.
Oh yeah.
When you're
sometimes I will wake up.
Of course.
I'll wake up in the middle of the night with a bolt of inspiration. And I've been figuring out lately, I like to solve problems Like if I have a story where I can't get from point A to point B, all of a sudden I'll wake up in the middle of the night with this bolt of inspiration and it will tell me, oh, this is how I solved it. And that's
Isn't that
fun.
amazing?
Yeah, sometimes ideas come to you while you're brushing your teeth.
In your dreams, brushing
Yes.
your teeth,
Yes.
in your reveries.
Yes.
It's great to talk to you.
Well, it's so nice talking
I
to you.
really like what you do.
Thank you so
Don't
much.
ever stop.
I enjoy what you do. It's a great way to get to know everybody in this community.
Thanks a lot. See you later.
All right.
We're on television.
Wow.
Don't be nervous, ladies.
No, I think we do this on a regular basis. We're
I
pretty
think
comfortable with it.
I've even been on these phone banks before.
Look, it's ringing.
Oh my goodness. Pledging $50,000.
Would that be a dream come true?
I
don't
love
know
it.
Make her
about.
heart beat too fast.
She knows me way too well.
I
We're
got a flag.
development.
All right, who are you?
I am Sophie Mitziglu in development.
And
Jennifer Kowalczyk, I work in membership.
Calvin says, doesn't anybody have the name Smith or Brown or...
I think
Wonderful
strategic,
names.
goal mentions diversity.
I love it.
Specific reason for that. It's diversity.
Diversity, there it is. A thorn between two beautiful roses.
Oh, thank you.
All right, let's talk about development. Let's talk about what you do here.
Development, as most people know, we're public television, and our major support comes from the community and our supporters. It does not come from your cable company. Your cable company does not give us a portion of their bill. I just got a letter yesterday saying, oh, you don't need our support. You get a portion of the cable bill. We get no proceeds from the programs, and all our great programming comes from support. So we need to let the community know that we do this and what we have to offer, educational initiatives, I'm sure you spoke to Jane, and that we need the support of the community and the public on both sides of the lake and across the border, so both sides of the border, both sides of the lake, to support us.
People have to do something beyond turning a television set on and pushing a button to channel 57, don't they?
Well, it's hard to, to take the value in what you get. You figure that PBS is something that you get for free. Everyone gets it, and that is absolutely true. But it takes the next step is to realize that in order to continue having the service and allowing it to be free, you really need help from the public to support the station and to allow us to make local productions and to show you the national productions that PBS is famous for.
So what do you do on a regular basis every day here?
What do I do?
Yeah.
Every day?
Yeah.
It's exciting. There's nothing.
Well,
There's no regular
besides
days.
interviews, because you're famous.
Well, it's what I do anyway is I manage the membership base of Mountain Lake PBS. So I deal,
Yeah,
I
a lot
talk
of people
to.
don't know what membership base means. What does that
Well,
mean?
it's all of those people that call in to make those donations when we have these fundraisers here and the telethons. Anybody who calls in to make a donation to PBS, be it for a gift or for just a basic membership, you become a member and then you get certain benefits and you get to call and talk to me whenever you want. And I do my best to answer the questions and to make sure that all of their benefits are being fulfilled as needed. And that takes up a lot of my day, and then I help with other stuff.
And many of our friends across the border do speak French.
They do speak French and many other languages, as a matter of
Do they
fact.
really?
Yes, and we cover this weekend. We're doing Montreal Jewish Memories, so we have big ethnic groups that cover it. Not only French.
yeah.
I even had somebody offer to come in and speak in Yiddish to our audience
Did
because
you
we're doing
really?
this Jewish program. Yeah.
Yes, and several years ago we did the Armenian genocide, and we're thinking of re-airing that again. So we have a big Armenian community. And when we did Holiday Spectaculaire, that was the ultimate best because it shows our diversity and all the groups that came in, from the Irish step dancers to.
I love them, don't you?
Oh, they were
Aren't
great, too.
Fabulous.
They were young, they could jump.
Oh, yeah.
But they did a
Okay,
great
that's
job.
right. That's
Did
what I
great.
said to my wife. They were young. They can jump. But it is fun, isn't it?
It is fun. We have a lot of fun. And, it's kind of cool because since we work at a PBS station that's a pretty small one, we get to throw our hands into everything. So I was helping with the Holiday Spectacular production by taking photographs and putting them on the website. So while I do the membership and talk to all those folks and fulfill their requests, I also get to do a lot of other cool stuff.
She gets to be on TV on a regular basis. How many people in membership
Yeah,
say that?
That's true, too.
That too.
Everybody has to do their part.
She runs the camera.
Do you really? You're on the camera still?
Only once.
Just once?
I did it once.
Oh, that's
So we
great.
get our
Everybody
hat and
works very
hats.
hard in public television, and the kick for us to come inside and go in all the offices and meet people, to find that you're all such a wonderful group of people who really love what you do,
Aren't we?
and always smiling, never complaining.
No.
You caught us on a good day.
Oh, we'll always come back on a good day. We're recording this program just before Christmas 2008, so everybody better be in a good mood.
Oh, we
right?
definitely are. We had a great holiday showing, and we work together well, so we all flow together. It is tough. Public television, you have to do it for the love of it,
You
and
have
we
to.
do.
Yeah, it is. It's passion, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you know, sometimes television is a passive medium, but in public television, people have to react to their television set, not just swear at it when they don't like it, but call up and make a donation. Become a member, right?
Become a member.
Yeah. I like
Make a donation. That's what supports us. That is what gets your community programs out to you, the programs you love, the programs about your region, your area. No other station covers Plattsburgh as we do. The news compares it to the Montreal news, brings everything in perspective. And as I'm sure you heard, we have some great documentaries happening, which are phenomenal for such a small station of our size.
Yeah, I think the station is a lot bigger than you give it credit for sometimes, and
small,
we've
but
opened
no.
those doors into all the back rooms today and met almost everybody who works here, and you're a pretty darn good group.
Well, we feel
phenomenal.
small, but we get a lot done. We do a
I
lot.
love it. Ladies, thanks so much
Thank
for
you.
everything you do.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you so much.
Here's another familiar face.
Yeah,
Thomas Halleck, how are you?
I'm very well, and you?
Great to be with you here
Thank you
today.
very
I keep
much.
forgetting that you're over here.
I
until
am. I've been here about a year now.
That's great. Tom, your face and your voice are so familiar to North Country people. I guess you could call this place home finally, huh?
Absolutely. After all these years, started here, went to college here, worked at Channel 5 behind the scenes with Neil Drew and Bird Burdan, and learned the ropes.
You
many
didn't
a
work
year
with
ago.
Neil Drew.
Yes, sir.
Neil,
many
who's
years
still
ago.
doing radio
He
down
is
in the
over-
Malone area.
You bet. And learned a lot from him and Bird. And
Talk about old soldiers.
that's right. And then went away for a
I
number.
never count you in
Yeah,
in
well,
the,
I was a young pup working behind the scenes, learning the
oh
ropes,
my
and then
gosh.
went away to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and Bangor and Portland, Maine for a number of years, and then back in the late '90s when
here-
Aaron Clark was still here, and then with Stephanie, and now here.
Now you've gone around the circle.
I have, but
But this isn't a bad home over here either, is it?
It isn't. It's a great station, and we're doing great things, and we're doing what I wanted to do. That was
Isn't it amazing?
the wonderful thing.
And what good is life unless you can
That's right.
do what you want to do? So what do you do
I
here?
love it. I'm working on Mountain Lake Journal now, which is the public affairs and news program, and we're doing in-depth stories and doing interviews like you do on a weekly basis, and
stuff
it's a
you
lot
can
of
really
fun.
get your
And
teeth
yeah,
into, isn't it?
and you can spend some time on it. It's fun.
What do you
And
enjoy
it's
the most?
being able to do the stories where you can spend a lot of time, and you don't just have to worry about rushing back and getting it on. And you know that was the thing for many years, is
that's
that
a
you
whole
had to get.
different-
It's a whole different
Whole different ball
thing,
game.
and you have to get the news on every night at 5 and 6 o'clock.
I talk to our mutual friend Jack LeDuc
Yes.
quite often. Jack, I've known for almost 50 years. In the old days where he'd have to do the film and get it at
Absolutely.
the airport.
Get it to the
and
airport by
they'd
2
rush
o'clock to
Rush
get it
it
over.
over there.
Yeah.
Boy, have we come a long way.
We have Jack is here in the building with us, and
I know
he's just down the hallway. And
Jack's been a fixture here,
but
along with his dog.
Exactly, with Dixie, and he still does it every day. Where, you know, there's that deadline every day, and you've got to get it on, and so you really don't get a chance to spend a lot of time with people and with the stories. And that's the great thing here. We can take a day or two or more and go shoot a story and really spend some time on it.
Explain the journal a little bit to people who may not have seen it.
Well, it's a program where we cover stories that you probably won't see on the commercial stations, that you won't see on Channel 5, on WPTZ, or even the types of stories that Jack will do. It's not, you know, you won't see the breaking news type stories or the crime of the day, but you'll meet a lot of fascinating people. You'll hear about some of the issues, especially cross-border issues, because a lot of our viewers are Canadian.
Oh, yeah.
And so we love going to Montreal and doing stories on border issues and some of the many things that are of interest to viewers on both sides of the border. The economic summit between New York and Quebec was a perfect example just recently, being able to go up there and spend an entire day with many of the people there covering that story, and then talking about it for 20, 25 minutes and really dissecting it and talking with some experts about it and what it means to us. And that's a joy to be able to do that after, so many years of having a minute to tell a whole story and having to do it the same day.
People who watch television very often don't get that kind of perspective that we're getting with our hometown cable cameras today.
Sure.
And so it's important to tell how much different Mountain Lake is from commercial television.
And it is,
it's a whole different philosophy. It
is, and it's a slower pace, but it'll have a number of stories. We'll cover some of the headlines of the week, but they may be stories that maybe you still wouldn't have heard necessarily anyplace else. Stories in the Adirondacks, decisions by the APA. Stories just across the border in Canada that do affect people here, like the snow tire law that's going into effect this month and affecting a lot of Canadians. They're coming down looking for tires at cheaper prices, and tire shops are overwhelmed. Just stories like that they probably won't hear anyplace else, and if they come here, they'll hear several of those stories a week, along with some of the nice stories in the community, some of the good news that's going on in the community.
Do you choose the subject matter yourself, or is it a committee, or how do you?
No, myself. That was one of the great things when I was offered the job, the chance to do that. But of course, it's always great to ask other people if they.
Oh, you get input.
Oh, sure. And go in the kitchen.
Yeah, you always get input.
Exactly, and that's nice. And oftentimes they have great ideas, and they know people in the community who have great stories to tell.
So do you go with a crew?
We go with a crew sometimes. Sometimes I go by myself. As Calvin knows, in this day and age, the cameras are smaller and the quality is great, and you can go, if you have to, by yourself and shoot the story.
How many a week do you do? How many stories would you say?
We're probably up to 4 or 5 now.
Okay.
And when we have our roundtable, sometimes we'll cover many issues. We have some great journalists stopping in to talk about it. Sometimes we have other experts like Jay Bryan, the columnist with the Montreal Gazette, the business columnist, who's in this week talking about the turmoil going on in Ottawa right now, where the Tories and Stephen Harper and deep trouble and may be toppled, and so that's the focus of this week's show. You really learn a little bit about politics on both sides of the border. It's pretty interesting.
Tom, you've done a great job.
Well, thank you.
I'm proud of you. You've decided to become part of the fabric of this place.
Well, we love it here. We really do.
And the weave, it's a good weave.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us today. This has been a kick. I hope our audience has enjoyed it half as much as we have, going behind the scenes, into the inner sanctums and the bowels of the building and learning how things work. All those wires in the new digital age is absolutely crazy. We can't wait to February to see what happens when they flip the switches.
That's right.
Thank you all for your comments and suggestions. Just send money. Who knows where we're going to be next time? For our little